Welcome to the ANEW Insight Podcast, empowering and inspiring your journey to optimal health. Hosted by Dr. Supatra Tovar, clinical psychologist, registered dietitian, fitness expert, and author of Deprogram Diet Culture. Rethink your relationship with food, heal your mind, and live a diet-free life. I follow my guests' journey to optimal health, providing you with the keys to unlock your own wellness path. Tune in and evolve with us. Welcome back to the ANEW Insight Podcast. We're back for the second half of our interview with founder of Ozean Pilates and Wellness, Sarah Meinert. Sarah gave us some really amazing insight into her inspiration to create resilience through movement. I'm so excited to pick her brain some more. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes. So your company integrates a holistic approach to wellness. So how do you incorporate something like mindfulness or other mental health practices into your Pilates sessions?
I incorporate mindfulness into my sessions with my clients by asking questions to keep them active and engaged in the session. And those questions are like in regards to the movement, right? So even if we're going through like a chest lift, it's like, okay, so what do you feel during this exercise? You know, are you feeling your abs? What muscle groups do you think are helping you do this exercise? And some of them, will say the right muscle groups, and some might not, or it's even like footwork, just standard footwork. And it's like, okay, so as you're going through this, what do you feel? And oh, my quads. And it's like, really? You feel your quads? Do you feel like your hamstrings or your glutes? No. Oh, well, let's adjust the weight. Let's adjust your pelvis. Are you thinking, I don't want you to feel your quads, So just giving them questions to kind of concentrate and kind of do a little scan of their body to see what's kind of activated. I think keeps them present without worrying about what's going on maybe in the outside world. And they can focus on those things because I feel when you think of those things, then that's when your body starts to transform itself mentally and physically, right? So then we can see, oh yeah, I am getting more definition in my arms, right? Because I'm thinking, oh, biceps, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm moving with my pec muscle, so then you begin to see that transformation, and then they become aware, and they're like, oh yeah, like I do feel my hamstrings, when I'm pushing out. Oh, I do feel my glutes, when I'm doing this. It's like, okay, good. So we've learned. I always like to say, like, you're repatterning the body, right, to work more efficiently and effectively.
Why do you think so many people, and I really do think that most people who are not engaging in regular exercise, maybe coming into Pilates or any other exercise form, are kind of fundamentally disconnected from their bodies. They're not aware of their body in space.
Yes.
And this is maybe more of a philosophical question or a cultural question. But why do you think that is?
I think people take for granted what their bodies just do. You get up and you walk and, and you're just like, oh, that's what my body does. And it's like, well, what muscles are really helping you do that? And it's just like, when someone pulls their back or their low back goes out and it gets hurt and they're like, I don't know how that happened. Just all of a sudden I was just picking up a bag of groceries and my back went out. And it's like, well, obviously there was something going on beforehand. Obviously you weren't doing something correct. You were obviously maybe lifting with your back and not your glutes. Maybe you're just hunching over. You weren't bending properly. And it's like, I don't know if it's even just in school, right? During, like health classes or whatever, PE, they don't teach us like these things. So there could be just that lack of knowledge and awareness. And then, and people always say too, it's like, oh, I didn't know I had those muscles. And it's like, well, you have them. You just haven't used them properly. And Pilates will make you find those muscles.
I also think that we grow up in a culture of shame around bodies.
Hiding,
like if you look at our, America in particular, it's founded, from more of a religious stance, and that the body was something bad, not to be talked about, taboo, terrible. Yeah. And then you have all of the other influences on top of that. Not only is the body bad, but you need it to look perfect.
Yes.
Right? You have so much pressure to make it look perfect.
Right.
And if it's not perfect, it's not good enough. And so I think a lot of people, when they think about their bodies, especially if they don't feel like they're measuring up
Right. To like
to the
society's.
standards of today, they close off, disconnect, just, are not in their bodies. They're dissociated from their bodies. Would you say that that's in general what you see with women? Do you also see that with men?
I would say a combination. I would say more so women, and especially even the disconnect after pregnancy, depending on if you had a C-section or a natural birth. I feel a lot of women who have like the C-section, they come back and they're numb, right? They don't have any sensation, so they can't feel their abdominals engaging. And yet they have that scar tissue buildup, and that's limiting them from kind of engaging or having the sensation of stuff working, because the medical provider hasn't said, well, maybe when you have after surgery and you've healed, start massaging that scar. Just like any scar, when you have, a knee surgery, you're going to start manipulating it to break down the scar tissue. They don't tell women, break down the scar tissue of your C-section incision so that it can be more pliable, so you can start to move more. And I also think too, with my one client with breast cancer, the other day it was like, I think like on a subconscious level, you're trying to like still hide that part of your body, right? Because a lot of like her posture movement was always kind of just like tilted. And it was like, well, that's the sign that you had the breast cancer. And it's like, when you go on your walks, can you walk maybe thinking, I'm okay, I'm healed, I feel better about myself, and see how your body feels, see if different muscle groups activate, and come back and tell me like what you felt. And she was like, yeah, she's like, I could feel different muscle groups. I could see, I noticed that my presence in how I was walking was a little different. And it was like, okay, like, because there's subconsciously, I think you just try to like hide with whatever pain. And I feel that.
I think it's so good that you are encouraging people to conceptualize their bodies through their muscles and the functions that they provide, the functions that they perform.
Right.
And that's a very different way of people really kind of thinking about or looking at their bodies. I think a lot of women are conditioned to think that they have to make their bodies attractive for the male or even female gaze. And that's the purpose of their bodies, is to be attractive, as opposed to, I can bend over and pick this thing up. I can pull this thing out of the, overhead compartment on the airplane with ease.
Yes.
And I think when we conceptualize our bodies as functional and able to perform and do things, it's a whole different paradigm for people. And I think that that's really empowering. Is that something that you are emphasizing?
Yes. Yeah. I want clients to feel that through these movements that they do in Pilates, that you can take them and use them functionally, right? You're wanting your daily activities and your daily function of life to be easy, right? You don't want to struggle to walk or to, get cereal out of the cabinet, right? You want it to be an ease. And I think when you do Pilates, it's giving you that foundation, and it might not seem like, oh, this is exercise for grabbing something, but at the end of the day, it will help you. So
yeah, and I think really trying to transfer our body's worth outside of, the gaze that comes toward us and more toward what can we do with our bodies, and how powerful are our bodies can help recondition us out of that mentality, keep us from being dissociated from our bodies, and really giving us a sense of gratitude for what our bodies can do. And that's what I'm really hoping, through this podcast and, connections with people like Sarah, that, we can really help to transform how people think about their bodies and their body's worth. So what advice do you have for somebody who's hesitant to start a fitness routine, especially if they're struggling with their mental health?
Suggestion that I would give to someone who maybe is struggling with mental health or not, or just wanting to find something new, I would ask like your inner circle of family and friends. See if any of them have any fitness routine that they do, and say like, okay, like, can I join you? You know, I'm kind of figuring out what I want to do. You know, can I try that class with you? And if nobody has anything, then I would suggest maybe like looking into a group, right? Where you can do like maybe a group walking class, a hiking group, or even, you know, like a Pilates class, which is amazing. So that you have something that is structured, right? The same time, same day. There are also other people there. So then you can be social. And then you have that accountability that is there. And so it's just that one step. Okay, I did the one class. You know, I go this, I do this. And then eventually you can build and add more and explore things that you like.
So starting small, I really encourage people to not just, go New Year's resolution on themselves. Like, even if you can't make it to a group class or a hiking group or things like that, YouTube is amazing because there's so many like shorter forms of exercises. Plenty of people doing Pilates on YouTube or Pilates Anytime. There's all sorts of different apps as well. So you can start small, do whatever is like the tiniest amount that you know you can do regularly and attach it to a behavior that you're already doing. So that becomes your, attached habit to that. And that's how you can start something slow. And especially if you are struggling with your mental health, you may not have a lot of bandwidth.
Right.
You may not have a lot of time. You may not have a lot of energy. Even 10 minutes, just doing little exercise snacks throughout the day can also be really, really helpful for, when you're really kind of struggling and you don't have a lot of energy. So wellness community, it's huge. There's so much noise. We've seen such a rise in different types of fitness trends.
Yes.
How do you see Pilates standing out as a core element of a balanced wellness routine?
I see Pilates standing out and with the balanced wellness routine due to, I feel, the classic repertoire that is there. Because we have that foundation that we can pull from. And from those exercises of like over 600 exercises that Joseph created, contemporary, we have done so many variations on that. And so because of you have those two then bags that you can pull from, and then using those exercises to adapt to individuals' needs, I feel is what keeps Pilates so consistent and relevant in a wellness routine. Plus, I mean, it benefits everything. It helps all other activities you do, enhances them even more. So,
absolutely. And I think, Pilates is seeing a boom now. It's really become, just this wildly popular thing, but it's been around for a really long time. And I don't think a lot of people know that. And it had its own little mini boom, I think, in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I was going to say like the late 90s, early 2000s. It was like very popular, and then all of a sudden it like went down for some reason. I don't know.
I have no idea why.
Other trends came in.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's just like the rise of like the reformer classes.
Different like takes on it.
Yeah.
Tracy Mallett, who was on our podcast, the first guest on our podcast, will say, there's so much Pilates that it's not Pilates out there.
That is very true.
And it's true. I think it's really important to do your homework and find out if it's actual true Pilates or if it's an offshoot. There's plenty of different offshoots. And that's not to say that they were bad.
Correct.
They're just not necessarily Pilates. But Pilates has been around a long time, and I think it'll be here forever because it's incredible. So for you, yourself, how do you maintain a sustainable approach to wellness, both personally and for your clients, in a society that really focuses on quick fixes or extreme methods?
For myself, I do a lot of research. I am always researching trends or different modalities that can help in your daily life. And so I feel, then I make my little list and I see what's, happening so that when clients come to me or ask me questions, it's like I have done my homework and I can say, well, like this is okay, this is kind of what it's for, but, like you can try it. I never discourage anyone from trying something if they want to try it. It's their own choice. But I think that's what I do. And I weigh the cost and say like, okay, well, is it really something that will benefit me? What is this similar to? And then just take it from there.
Yes. So speaking of quick fixes, we're definitely in the weight loss medication craze, the, revolution. And what we're seeing with a lot of people going on these medications is rapid weight loss with rapid muscle loss. So how do you help someone who may be interested in taking these medications support themselves and keep from, having some of these detrimental outcomes?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think to be supportive and kind of understand what why their doctor maybe suggested them to go on, how long do they need to be on them, and see what we need to do to balance out them either being on them or maybe when they come off of them. Because sometimes a lot of these people are not going to be on them forever, and then they're going to gain all this weight back, and then, they're not going to have, a lot of them are losing the weight, but they're not replacing it, like you said, with muscle. So it's kind of like, okay, what is your diet composed of? Do we need to make sure we have the right amount of protein? Do we need to make sure we're, doing the amount of resistance training that is needed for you to maintain that muscle mass? So when you come off of it, you're not just going back and putting on fat, but you are coming back to a sustainable weight that you can handle.
I think it's really, really difficult because, most doctors say that this is something that you're going to have to be on for life. Yeah. And most people do not stay on these medications. Yeah. Even most people will go off of them before their recommended dose, whether that's because of side effects, because of affordability. And so I think it's so important that anyone who's considering that, especially more on the weight loss side as opposed to what it was originally designed for, was to help with people with diabetes, that you consider having kind of a multi-team approach to taking those. Because, it's one thing to just get it from your doctor or get it from, someplace online and have zero help in terms of, how to try to stay on the medication, how to handle the side effects, how to keep muscle mass from, being depleted, all of these things. So a dietitian is helpful, someone who's helping you with your physical fitness, and your doctor. And if you need to also, because there's a lot of mental health effects, getting some support in that area too. So it's kind of like this whole village that can help make that successful for you.
Right.
But I also think, and I've been doing a lot of just short form videos about how we make GLP-1 ourselves naturally in our bodies. And movement in particular, especially strength training, helps you actually produce your own GLP-1. So I think finding out, if you're not going to be on that medication for life, how can you increase your own production of GLP-1 so you don't need to be on medication for life. So I love that you are, really incorporating, you might not have worked with people on those medications yet, but that muscle loss is the biggest problem with that. And Pilates is amazing for the rebuilding of that muscle or maintaining your muscle. So when you look ahead, what are your goals for the future of Ozean Pilates and Wellness? And how do you see the wellness industry itself evolving?
I see the wellness industry evolving, I think, with more technology being utilized to help individuals. Like you were saying, with like the medications and stuff, I feel that testing needs to be more sophisticated and better to help individuals and stuff, so we can look and have a better baseline, just instead of having the cholesterol panel and you're like, oh, well, your cholesterol is high, and it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that? But getting a real more detailed blood work and scans and stuff to help kind of the individual understand what's going on and what kind of things they can do to help more preventative health-wise, because I think that's what really lacks, especially in the U.S., is preventative health measures, especially with physical fitness. So if you have like more of a baseline, or like, hey, you need to really work on that bone density because of XYZ, they have these things and these tools that they can then pull from and understand. So I feel in that aspect, evolving in the wellness with technology, and hopefully then also even in the medical profession, there can be more knowledge or back and forth with the fitness industry and the medical providers with doctors, because I think a lot of times doctors are reluctant to say like, yeah, go do Pilates. It's great. They're like, well, you hurt your knee, don't do it, And
Which
so I
is
think
ridiculous.
so I think there needs to be a shift in knowledge change, or a change in exchange in knowledge of like, okay, well, just because they can't do one thing doesn't mean you should tell them no, because a lot of people listen more so to your medical doctor versus listening to your instructor. So that is how I feel the wellness is evolving. In the sense for what Ozean has in its goals, I would love to do retreats.
Yes.
And maybe in another country.
Yes.
And collaborate more with people in the fitness industry and maybe even outside the industry, because I feel having that cross knowledge is great, because everyone needs fitness in their life. And just, I think my own self, just getting more knowledge and what I can do to expand in the wellness services that I offer with like the skin and gut health and stuff. I feel those things are important.
Yes. Oh my gosh. If you do a retreat, you'll have to let me know, especially if it's out of the country, because that would be amazing.
Amazing.
And I do think like we can integrate Pilates more into the corporate world as well. And really kind of get education out there for people.
Yeah. I don't know if there needs just to be more research in Pilates, like there has been done like in yoga and strength training. When you research, there's so much. And then with Pilates, it's very limited. It's like, oh yeah, Pilates is great.
It's
getting better, but it's like there's like three websites you could go on when like strength training's like hundreds. It says it's so amazing, and you're like, well, what about Pilates? Like,
I know, and we need more research in general, and I really hope that scientific research doesn't go the way of the dinosaur, please, because we really need it, especially when it comes to women's health.
Totally.
We really want to keep that up, and if we can get more researchers out there to explore the actual physical benefits and mental health benefits of Pilates, then it just, justifies us even more. We already know it, but science just needs to catch up with that. Okay, you guys. So, Sarah, how do people contact you and work with you? What are your handles? What's your website? Lay it on everybody.
You can reach me on my website, which is ozeanpilateswellness.com. And you can reach me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all those lovely platforms. The handle is Ozean Pilates Wellness. So
yes, that'll be in the show notes. You can click on that. If you are in the Los Angeles area and you want to work with Sarah, I highly recommend it.
I do also online, so you don't have to be just in LA.
Yes,
I have clients all over.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us, Sarah. You're amazing, a wealth of information, and we really just want to spread the message of Pilates for everyone. It is not an elitist sport. It is for anyone, who can be on the equipment or be on the mat. And there are so many incredible health benefits. And we just encourage you to try it out. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the ANEW Insight Podcast. We're looking forward to our next exciting interview and hope you join us next time. Thanks for tuning into the ANEW Insight Podcast. Please remember, the content shared on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. You can find us anywhere podcasts are streaming, on YouTube at my.anew.insight and at anew-insight.com under the ANEW Insight Podcast tab. And follow us on our socials at my.anew.insight on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more updates. Tune in next time and evolve with us.